you should run. I should think now. Is there anybody here? Anybody from here? From I? Oh, it's coming. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Hope you had a good time, good lunch, and everything else. I'm going to today. The whole lecture has. They have asked me to divide it into two, 1 and 2, and so I'm going to try. And there was another question or feedback came up. The difference between he called it leapfrog. Normally is also known as disruptive process, disruptive change, and then continuous change. Professor Rai will do PDCA and other things. That's a different. I did not get full time to do a justice to them, but tomorrow before I start, I will quickly give you a little bit of flavor of those two things. Those are by itself different subjects. So let's see how good I do. Okay, this is Sir Einstein has told most of you, some of you might have known that we are confused about our goals, and that's the normal characterization of our age right now. And perfection of means, how to get this, how to get it done. So it's a very nice quote. For all my lecture has a little quote like that, because I like quote. So it's not a problem. Okay, this is the agenda. So the agenda is quickly, professors do have, or they did tell you why you have to study this, why you have to learn this. So I'm going to go through that, maybe a little bit of flavor here and there. So I will go through that. Then I'll go through a background of the operation strategy. Then we're going to divide in manufacturing to service sector. Then we're going to do classical view, operation strategy. And then there are many models describing this operation strategy, but I have taken one that I feel is very consistent with Indian system. So that's what I've done that. Then we're going to go strategic initiatives and all that. And those of you who have a little involved question, you can ask in that QA session. These are the common formats. Professor Ray and Ghosh, they have agreed, or they have told me write it this way. So I wrote it this way. So nothing new here. The guidance came from there. All right. So the basic question you have to ask yourself, why we study this? Why you are wasting our time and resource? You could have done much better, not sitting here somewhere else. But why we have come together here? So first of all is, you can see it, is first of all, there are two things every manager has to do. History is fundamental to manufacturing managers. I will coin a special terms at the end as an alternative to POM, or production operation management, you will see. And so the first is that manufacturing managers, in order to make change, they have to take care of two things. One is, there is nothing called fluke. There is no easy lunch here. Your input and the success of your input will depend on the test of time. If it is, there are certain things you do it and then it disappears. There is a little hiccup, little improvement, then it disappears. And some of them has a long change over it. And then another one is requirement change over time. And then you're critical for managers is decision with future in mind. So you have futuristic idea in mind, and one of them is you have to install something that can withstand the test of time. So these are the two things that you as a future managers or presently manager should think about it. This POM, I'm going to coin it as an scientific. It's like every operation, every industry, whatever you will see as it develops, has a science, a physics behind it. And that's what is called scientific management. That I normally like that term, management by objective, management by, as Peter Drucker says, management by science, managed by numbers. These are all different terminologies, but they are basically represent the same idea. This is what Professor Ghosh was talking about, bringing a system and bringing it down to the smallest element, the basic element, I call it. That was the way, American way. reduction method. You reduce this total system into its basic elements, and that was normally employed by Americans in a long time back. And there are some positive points and negative points. One of the things is when you do that, setup time was considered as a constraint. That means American industries or these industrial engineers, they thought at that time that setup time is a constraint, is a given, that you run a lathe, setup time could be less. A machining center where there is lot of die setting and everything, or they have a different set of constraints as a time. In Japanese people took it completely different way, and they thought setup time is not a constraint and can be improved. You see how the difference is? So setup time, if it can be improved, you will see over time you are gaining efficiency, productivity, the time. So see how the Japanese people, they have completely turned it around. And then the next point is, here those who are in management things, and marketing and finance in US is the easiest way to climb the ladder. Engineering is too complicated. You have to work too many hours, too many long hours, too many years to get to a certain level, whereas in MBAs and all that, MITs and those who they get into quick ladder strategy. And because engineering is not exciting, less appreciated, fast track managers, all this name came up, and that's why business management schools, they completely eliminated this production operation management. They thought this is not our cup of tea, let industrial engineering handle it. So that's another thing. As I was telling, scientific management, management by numbers, management as if operation has a physics behind it, has a science behind it, and is not only time and motion study. That's all Professor Ghosh was talking this morning. They are completely eliminated. But nowadays, that is a small part of this. Actually, the enterprise system and other things, they have come with a system perspective, or we call it a holistic. Have you heard of that term, holistic? I mean a system as a whole. Okay, this institute has a system as a whole. It has buildings, it has professors, it has roads, it has transport, it has light system, it has the complete tug, that what he was talking about. So that is the holistic approach, and it's a philosophy of industrial system. And Taylor, time motion study father, and one of the forefathers of industrial engineering, and he, in his opinion, I have changed few words. So development of true science, developing this as a scientific process, is a manager's job. And that I wrote, scientific selection of worker and education and development, that's the industrial engineering principles. You have to follow principle how to develop that. And between management and workers, Mr. Taylor didn't believe that trade union is necessary, because he believed if we put a right person for a right job, he will be happily right. And at that point of time, if everybody is happy in a balanced system, nobody is disturbed. And that's why he didn't think a trade union is necessary. But believe it or not, trade union concept first came from US. And there is a reason for it, but this is not the right platform. So ultimately, we should study production operation management, is because science is in scientific management. You can call it any name you want. That means the management can have a scientific side of it. Just like accountant. The accountancy is basically The rules and everything is so rigid. So that is their physics. Debit, credit, left, right. At the end of the day, your balance sheet, left eye equal to right. So those are the physics behind their working principle. That's why accounted in Kashmir and accounted in the southernmost state of India, they're basically the same thing, because they had physics behind it. So what I meant by here is that management related, ranging from organization theory to operation research, everything has to have a physics behind it. You have to know what is the principle behind it, how you can manage it. The another is basic approach to recognize the fact that management can be approached scientifically. If you are not convinced about that, you are not going to make any dent as an industrial engineer, or for that matter some of the management things. So you have to believe that scientific management is possible and can contribute to the success of operation, and scientific management fosters qualification and quantification of management. So you have to qualify and you have to quantify, and I will come to that a little bit more. So this is our future approach. As I see, I added few things. Why we should study the history and the science and all that is because future depends on the past. See, let me tell you, in this universe there is nothing new. There is nothing new. It just we dig in things, we go into deeper details, and we get higher and higher theory about it. Everything is fixed. The difference between a science teacher or a scientist and say an engineer is scientist goes and finds those theories and then engineers will apply it. It was right there from the beginning, and Vivekananda told the same thing, that there is nobody invents anything. It's just you dig in and take your part of it. Our love affair with finance and marketing, like MBA folks, will be there. You cannot get rid of it because the owner loves it, shareholders loves it, stakeholders love it because they want their ROI. That's all they care about at the end of the day. Appreciate the past to build the future. That's why you're going to study all these little methods and past and all this. That's why you have to know so that you can build your future. This is a good statement I put together. History shapes only possibilities for the future. Only possibility, but is not a future itself. Okay, you have to build the future. And next generation manufacturing managers to evolve Indian system manufacturing to next higher level. So you can read this a little bit more descriptive, but managers need detailed knowledge about their business and a holistic approach. You have to pay attention to details and do not be fearful of changes. Change is going to happen every day. You take your own life. How much you have changed in last 10 years? Okay, whatever 10 years before, whatever your dad used to say, you agreed. Now you most probably you don't agree at all. Is everywhere. So so that's why embrace changes with innovation and system approach. Copycats normally die very quick. Okay, so you have to approach that from there. Is there anything important in survival? Okay, so in order to survive a manufacturing operation, to survive, you have to understand that manufacturing is a vital strategic function as much as or as well as other functions, the marketing, like finance, like say R&D, any other function is same as that. And inefficient manufacturing is fatal when you go from cutting edge application of cutting edge technology to products. And the another thing, last thing, Professor Ghosh was talking about the how to train and how to get the intellectual property which you cannot buy most of the time, is squeezing workers for higher productivity without allowing real wages to rise will also fail. That means you cannot always squeeze the workers and get the productivity high and high and high. It is not possible. So there has to be a real wage rise. You know, if you want something and you think you cannot feed your family with what you are doing, I don't care what theory I tell you, you are not going to pay attention to it because your basic system is not being satisfied. Okay, what is this you can read afterwards. All right. So you got a flavor. So to sum it up in last 7-8 slides, you need to study production and operation management as a scientific process. 1 plus 2 is a 3. There will be variation of 3 if there is a variation in 1 and 2. But still, if you add mu 1, mean 1, mean 2, there has to be a specific mean of that process. He was talking about central limit theorem and all that. Is still the distribution could be same, the shape could be different, but it will have its own mean, it will have its own standard deviation, it will have its variance approach. So the point is, and in order to do that, you have to know all the basic elements which you went through this morning. You also have to know the past, which did work or did not work. Okay, if you have some health issue, and if your doctor says, well, I really don't know what everybody has done, let me try it for 6 months. So he keeps on digging here, digging there. Would you like it? No. So by that time you will be dead and he will be unhappy. So the point is, you have to know the past to build a good future. So that for that reason you are here. You have to know a little bit of thing, and whatever is applied to your industry, go and dig it. I will give you a reference, and they also have all the reference. Now I am coming back to the strategy portion. First of all, a successful business, a successful family, a successful anything which is success, which is a norm and requires a vision. You have to have a vision. And when the vision is written in such a way, or is, I call it articulated, it's a very articulated, you have heard that term. Articulate means you have to write it in a simple way that even your janitor in your industry can, or in your business, can understand what you are talking about. If you go and tell him about POM, this M, that M, that M, and his job is only to sweep the floor, he will not understand. He says he is not interested. But if you break it down so that you become part of them, you put it as a sweeper, see what language you understand, then that is called a mission statement. So you see that we have a success, then we have a vision. The vision is articulated for everybody in the industry, everybody of your business, then it becomes a mission statement. I will give you an example. So mission statement has a represent goal of the firm. It should have coherent business strategy. That means if you have 4 or 5, Tata has this steel, then Tata has motor, everything else, and then you have to have a coherent business strategy for all of them. And it has to be not too many. You know, mission statement cannot be 10-page long. Okay, then you got a problem with your mission. So if you look at it, I give you some example. GE, it has gone through some. It has evolved many times. Present mission statement of GE is boundaryless, speed and stretch. You see what he's telling? He's telling existing core industry they want to stretch. They want to speed, they multiply quick and much faster output, throughput, whatever. We'll come to that. And boundaryless. That means today they are making rocket engines. Tomorrow they can develop a software for that engine. So it doesn't have a specific boundary. But that is their mission statement. So I'll give you an Intel. Intel says do a great job for our customers, employees, stockholders. See how they are including everybody as a partner. It's not one compartmental. Everybody is in a system. by being prominent building block supplier, not chips, building block. Today they are doing this, tomorrow they can do battery. Whatever building block you need to do a computing or computing industry, that's what they are going to do. So, it's very specific, not long, and this is articulated for everybody in this business. Everybody understands that. So this is the process here. One is vision to articulation to mission to business strategy. Okay, now I will come to operation strategy. So I just defined how to do the business strategy. My problem is this: there in US we don't normally sit and talk. So if I fall asleep, let me know. So here business strategy might include the following: market segment and niche for the company. Which market I am going to go for? Okay. Suppose if you want to make an bicycle, and so if you say, okay, I am going to make bicycle completely out of gold, how many people will buy that? Or you say, I am going to do racing bicycle. Okay, there is a sector for it, niche for it, a particular niche. Investment level. Then ways and means to allocate investment among business units. Operation strategy is one of the functional strategies. See how I am going from, I was here, now I brought it down, now I came to an operation strategy, which is a part of functional area strategies. And functional area means marketing, financial, and operation, could be service, or service could be included in operation. So now we are going to get to operation strategy. An operation strategy belongs to deployment of resources, any kind of resource, time, money, anything, resource, other material, deployment resource to achieve competitive goals. If there was no competition, most probably you don't need much strategy. Okay, I want to build this, as soon as I build it, but when there is a competition, then you have to have limited resource because you are not selling as many, so you have to do that. And operation strategy, particularly for manufacturing firm, is defined as sum total of all decisions regarding production, the storage, distribution, then manufacturing facility location, process of manufacturing, employment, human skill development, what he was talking about, those 4 things that you need for the transformation. And then it must be coherent, consistent, feasible, and directional. You know, if it is, you wrote a beautiful statement, beautiful everything, but if it is not feasible in alignment with your resource and human being, okay, if tomorrow you ask me that you develop an airplane and you are depending on me, most probably you will find out you will be a failure. I don't know. So you have to be consistent in your process. I am going to go. See, the another thing is, this is my observation. You will see every country has their basic background and why they have developed that way. Give you an example. American industries basically depend on innovation, which is not true now, as I will tell you afterwards. Japanese have taken over. But marketing and finance, they are big in marketing and big in finance. And innovation that used to be, Second World War, even right up to 60s. And Japanese industry, on the other side, depends on culture, quality, and manufacturing. So UK is, on the other hand, is durability, conservative, and customer. And Indian industries, as I find, inconsistent. That means if tomorrow you have to sell goat and make money, most probably Tata will start selling goats, because they will find goats, if I sell it, just I will make $100 every second, so let me sell it. They went and bought a Jaguar. That Jaguar has never made money in last 18 years. I have no idea why a prominent industrialist can do that kind of silly mistakes. It was a stupid idea. That's why Ford was very happy getting some $11 billion because they wanted to get rid of the crippled child. So anyway, and so the another thing why in order to develop your industry, as I have seen, many books have also established that is there are 3 stages in economic evolution. One is agriculture or agrarian, that is the initial stage. The whole world has developed that way, UK, US, everything. Then that to satisfy them then become industrial. Okay, the machinery, farm machinery that came up to make higher production. And to service those machines, then the service came. Most possibly, the mistake that we are still doing here, we went from initial stage to jump to service. I feel instead of copying American industries, I think we are more in alignment with Japanese industries. We are cultural based. We have to learn quality from them. We have the other qualities that we can improve on this. So I always argue that following Americans is not a good thing for especially Indian industries. The other thing is manufacturing sector versus service sector. As I told you, manufacturing is led by innovation, like TV in Japan. You see TV, Japan, Sony, and they have all TV games, all TV oriented, the screen of computers, the LEDs, everything, it came from Japan. Consumer video and the video cassette recorder. So all this is, so you have to link this agriculture, manufacturing and service in order to be a future. So migration from manufacturing economy to service economy is not easy. And in Japan, right after Second World War, Second World War in 60s, they had to work 16 hours a day, and there was a lot of nervous breakdown. Now also, now they paid a heavy, because they are a small country. They don't have too many people. When you lose some of them, you lose your IP, what he was talking about, the intellectual property, which is very hard to develop. So recent data in USA manufacturing sector show that we have, the Americans, they are very quick because they are based in scientific management. They realized that we are losing our strength in this line. So the labor cost now in US is less than Japan. And but it has not gone down to Chinese and other level. But Chinese, in my opinion, they have a junk. So it's like, so higher labor productivity and majority of world's manufacturing now coming back. They are talking about that it is much easier to produce where we sell. So Japan has now opened Honda. There are about 18 plants, in small or big, of Honda plants, Toyota plants in US right now, where in about 15, 18 years back, zero, zip, there was none. So that tells you the focus is moving because it's cheaper to produce. Innovation is key to manufacturing industries. Example, Sun Microsystems, Digital, now they are not in business, Wang Industries, Intel, 3M, and Japanese leading innovators. Now more patents are filed in Japan than US. So they have switched there, and Japan is leading the pack. So with that background, I am going to take you to now one of the basic operation strategies. These are the things that never change over time. People have come up with different names, different terminologies, different explanation, but basic themes are the same. And here it is. It's old-fashioned, but still I like it. this Skinner model. Okay, here you go. So this, if you look at it, there is no buzzwords here. There is no big terms here. It's simple. For operation study has 4 elements. Like in that ITO has some basic transformation 4 elements. Here also the same thing. And if you look at it, it has a time-based element. That means the decision you take today for your operation strategy will depend on time horizon. Are you looking for 5 months or 50 years or 100 years? So, short term, intermediate term and long term, that is the way he defined it. And I will go into detail a little bit more. Focus is, okay, let us go to focus. Process technology, focus on what? Is it you are in process technology, you are in you have in market issues, you have a volume issues or volume aspects or quality aspect. These are the 4 things he said every operation strategy has to base on. And then he went to not only you have come up with a mission, you have to come up with everything else, but that's not enough. You have to evaluate time to time. How good are you doing? That's why he was talking about efficiency and effectivity. You have to evaluate yourself. Am I in right process? Am I in right lane? Am I doing good competitively? So you have to evaluate. And what are the evaluation elements? Cost, quality, profitability, customer satisfaction. They are the 4 elements in I completely agree that these are the 4 things that you have to evaluate yourself. Now, you can go into many things, fixed cost, variable cost, this cost, that cost, but total cost of production. And then quality. Quality is definitely is a qualifier. Is not a seller, but is a qualifier. And then when all that, the another term he said consistency. That means, as I told you, if you have a different division, it has to be strategy, mission, vision, goal. It has to have a consistency. So just because you have started a factory, say in a very remote part of the world, and they normally don't shout, if you give them $5 an hour is good. And same thing, you get it done in Calcutta, you give them for $50 because they shout more. That should not be the reason. Okay. So professionalism, one of the criteria he said, proliferation, distribution, changes in manufacturing task, and explicit goals. So these are the consistent element. These elements of consistency that should remain a focal point of your operation strategy. See where I am going from? So you have these 4 circles that will basically define. Now, a caution. When you are starting a small company, you don't have to dig in and say, okay, now for next 25 years, I am going to focus on these 4 things and see how it comes out. No, that is not the way. You can take 1 or 2 elements that's very critical to you and you can work on it. Okay. So now little bit of detail on each one of those. Strategy depends on time horizon and short, medium, long run. And in each one of them, purchasing. Are you purchasing for next 5 months? Or you have a huge mine you are buying to supply your steel mill for next 50 years. So production, personnel, quality, inventory control, all these things he has already addressed, but those decisions will depend upon your time horizon, what you are looking at. If you are in a quick business and you want to buy and sell for 1 year and then you are done, most probably none of this is important. But if you want to build a consistent business unit, maybe you should need that. And there are some uncertainties surrounding those decisions also. So nothing is certain. Then strategy depends on focus. You know that focus, one is manufacturing strategies, process technology or deployment. Market demand, that's what he was talking about. Price, American buyers over the time, that's why the cost per unit has gone down, is because they have become very, very price conscious. Do you know, I don't know whether that idea has come here. It was found that about 38% of people 65 and above, they go to dollar store. They go to dollar store twice a week on an average. Everything is a dollar. It's a complicated, you look at a dollar. You go to Walmart, you go to other, that costs $11, $14. But you know, we are on a short span now. Why do I need to think about 15 years? I may not be there. So I want to satisfy. So the dollar store are flourishing like hell. And it has become 7-Eleven, if you remember. So dollar store, and guess what? Who is supplying the resources? All China. The junk, you know you are buying junk, but the problem is worth that dollar. So that's a business strategy. That's it. So price, lead time, and you have to produce and distribute. Not only produce, distribute. Marketing channel should be efficient and effective to reach the market earlier. Then the reliability he also addressed, differ by market segments. Like if you are to design a machine for heart and you are designing a lathe, the approach cannot be same. You know, if lathe headstock doesn't work, okay, we'll see next week. If you have a problem and your doctor say, oh, come next week and take care of your heart, well, that will not work. So reliability also will differ because cost affects reliability also. So in time is not there. Cost and reliability, it's actually C curve. So as the production goes up, if you make a reliable product, cost goes down. Professor Ray will address that. And then the quality level, SQC, consistent quality and all that. Manufacturing starts one farm, one product, and focus on one product. That's what his belief was. Focus on plant efficiency, higher labor productivity, all this. So the point is, all your strategies should take care of this. That's what he really meant by that. And then to the bottom two circles, on the left hand side, if you remember, was the evaluation. And evaluation of strategies will depend on cost of production, direct and indirect cost of delivery and service, then cost of carrying inventory. That's why Japanese folks are coming to US, because their delivery and service cost is got into a phenomenal amount of time and cost. You want a pump, believe it or not, and water pump for a Ford normally costs $136, including installation and everything. The same water pump for Honda about 6 years back used to cost about $1,100. So what they have done? They have started manufacturing. They have identified JIT type idea in US, that if I need your thing in this service, you come and supply that. Okay, everything is here. So US industry has gone down. Your cost of delivery is because you are going from Arizona to the next state, and then they have another one East Coast, another middle, and another West Coast. So delivery and service also become more efficient. Carrying inventory, he was talking about how what is the, if I keep an water pump, say I am an retailer, and if I have to keep 100 water pumps, it has a cost of carrying that inventory, right? Interest, then opportunity cost, other thing. We'll come to that afterwards. Then cost of plant and process overhead, reliability, useful time, things like that. So little bit of details. I'm going to only go through quickly because time is an essence here. And quality, reliability of the product delivered, market driven, as he has also mentioned. Evaluating point for manufacturing performance in Japan. How reliable is your product? And then Ford was about 10 to 1, about 9 to 11 years back, 3 months in service. The complaints were 10 to 1, 10 times more than Toyota. Believe it or not, now is equal, is all. Even for some line, lower line, Ford has exceeded the requirements. Toyota is showing their thing is up. That's why now they're building everything in US so that they can take care of this. The another thing is profitability of a product line determines success of a strategy. Very, very important. He quickly also addressed that dependent short-term profit maximization is a very poor strategy for a business of good size business, and short-term profitability may not be your best term profitability, and that's why you will see all these finance managers, they don't last long in any company. They keep going from here to there because their fluke doesn't work for a long time. So customer satisfaction is a product delivery process. Don't think customer satisfaction is a separate entity. It is a part of your strategy and is an explicit part, not implicit, but explicit part of a product delivery process. So if you were waiting for a water pump and you have a single car, and if they say it will come from Japan about 4 months, well, you cannot. There you normally drive 30 miles on an average to go to your workplace, so it's not going to work. Okay, now strategy depends on consistency. That's the last circle on your right side, and so composite of all company policies that affect manufacturing in totality. Now again, the holistic system, whatever you want to say. So personnel and wage policies, inventory control policies, scheduling, process design, process geared towards high quality products, all these things. The Japanese folks actually was a blessing to American industry. If Japanese people didn't shake up the American industry will be second to India. Because there was a point came that nobody made automatic transmission. Everybody in Japan, when the Honda, they're all 4 or 5 gear transmission. American industries, they came up with this automatic transmission in 40s, a little earlier than that, and they enjoyed so much market latitude. They didn't care. You buy it, ladies loved it, they don't have to keep on doing like that. Everybody was so happy with it. The carburetor, that thing not working because we are migrating from manual carburetor to digital, so it went through a little learning curve. So all these things basically takes time. So the another thing is inconsistencies will cause complex plant structure. If it is inconsistent from plant to plant to plant, then one plant will be way more complicated, one plant will be simple, things like that. And then management and labor will be at fighting because they will say, they are producing same and I am producing same, I am paid less, I am paid there. Those things that cost of business or cost of life cycle cost is different, those things don't work anymore. All right. So these are the things that he found while he was doing the consulting for different companies in about 60s. The Skinner says smaller number of products in a farm tend to be more profitable. Okay, you will see there is a consistency in what he was telling also. If you were a job shop guy and you are making 50s and 100s and 20, you will see the lower the number of the products you are making, you make more money out of it. And when number of product grows, strategy becomes inconsistent. That means now from 100 per month, you will make 10,000 a month. Then your strategy will become inconsistent. You have to redo it. Then you have to do the production of a new product in old form. This is a capacity planning question he was addressing, whether to reduce investment and overhead. So whether it will be consistent or not, you have to think. Okay, these are all you can study afterwards. I'm going to skip it. Okay, so these are the concise ways of firm level. There is one framework of operation strategy he used to call. Firm strategy to create, these are your bullet items. Lower cost, because everybody is cost conscious. See, in India has not seen the cost competitiveness yet. You make a car, you sell it, but now you see it that what was there 10 years before, now it is not there. Now you have choice. So their competitiveness is growing. So lower cost, product differentiation, this is another term. Hopefully in MBA folks will know quite deep into it. But product differentiation means how do you, if you are sharing same platform for same 10 products, how do you differentiate that this is not Focus, this is a Lincoln? There must be same, but it has all steering wheel, right? But if you look at them, one steering wheel has leather and one is pretty much bare. One has three connecting elements, one has only two large. So it's that's the different product differentiation. This is just a simple example I gave you. Distinctive advantage. What is your point of advantage over your competitors? What is your product meant for? How customers view your product different? Okay. Low cost provider strategy is actually, if you go to only low cost only, is a risky strategy, like Costco and Walmart. Their objective is to give the same product at the lowest possible cost, because their whole thing is from China. 95% is from China. But now that is again firing back. And Hyundai, when they came to US, Hyundai was the another thing that but now they have about 11% of market share. When they came in for first 6 years, they are 1%, 2%. So you have to. Now this is a little bit on product differentiation, uniqueness to buyers, how your customers view your product. Sustain higher profit margins like BMW and Apple. Apple, if you buy an Apple thing, is about $1,700, an Apple your laptop. Whereas you go to HP or Dell, you can buy it for $550 right now. So, but Apple has been able to do it. They say our picture is different, our printing is different, our this is different, our that is different. People buy it. People buy their idea. Samsung and iPhone, and look at the Samsung actually gives you more for a lower cost, but Apple, people still go for Apple. So, and BMW is the same thing. BMW, if you buy a same product, same platform, like you say BMW 3i, which Focus has it too, and is between Focus and Taurus from Ford. This one cost about $22,000. A BMW minimum cost is $34,000. So, but they have a differentiation. They say our car is not a car, it's a fun car to race. we bring race technology to your garage. So it's like, you want to buy good food at a cheap cost. You know what I mean? We all want to have the best food. So if somebody says, yeah, convince me that, yeah, this is good, you buy some other food, it will cost you $1, and I'm giving you for 10 cents, but that one has higher value, people will buy it. And that's how they do the capacity planning, they do their holding planning, they do their service, they do their delivery, all like that. Even Mercedes is now second to BMW with respect to that. Because, in my opinion, they went along with Chrysler. It's like a junk. So the Chrysler, they buy their service thing, like Fiat. And the Mercedes came and they tried to amalgamate them with Chrysler. But it didn't go well, obviously. So, because they are two different products. Okay. Another example is product differentiation, like GM. 5 divisions with 5 different products. Ford only at that point made only T model. Ford went bankrupt because of that, because there was no differentiation. He even told, if you remember the famous thing, you can buy any color you want as long as it is black. He said, I'm not going to do any other color, only black. But that backfired. He went bankrupt in about 3-4 years. So then he realized, now, Ford has Lincoln, Ford has a different line, just like 5. So other strategic dimensions is quality, as I told you, and then like BMW and Focus. The quality cars, but have different objectives. Yes, sir.
So what is T model?
Pardon?
T model.
T model is Ford 1912T. Ford T model. He called it a T model. And the reason he called, do you know, let me tell you an example. Ford was so focused in his thing. I'm talking about Henry Ford. If you go to Dearborn anytime, some of you will go. They still maintain that. He was a watch repairer. So he will go to door and repair the watch. And then the money came, he wanted to build an automobile in competition with Karl Marx and Daimler-Benz. So he built this engine and house, but the problem is he could not take it out of that room because the door was not big enough. So, but you see, he was so focused on that point. So, BMW and Focus, they're same size, same car, everything, but there is a price difference of $15,000 to $70,000 because quality cars, but have different objectives. One is race car, and one is a common, transport. Delivery speed. So you will not see most possibly a Focus. The young folks, if they have money, they buy BMW. If they don't have money, they buy Focus. And delivery and speed, UPS, mail orders, Federal Express. So these are the other strategic dimensions that you can write your strategy on. Delivery reliability, flexibility, and you can make, like what Ghosh was talking about. Now we can manage same plant producing 5 different level of products. So, okay, is there anything here? I don't have time, but as over time it has been found for any business, you have to worry about 3 things, in my opinion: cost, quality, and speed. You will see everything will be taken care of. And they say, even some Carnegie, if you know the Carnegie steel process, Carnegie told, you take care of your cost, your profit will be automatically taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. So that time quality concept was not there because, yes. But in my opinion, if you take care of cost, speed, and quality. Why cost? Cost is obvious. Speed, why speed? That is where Henry Ford came. He wanted to have his throughput as much as possible. He wanted to make 5 cars a minute. That's why he came up with the idea, bring the material to the men, not men to the material. That's the idea of assembly came. So man stays there with a hydraulic hose, the engine comes, you put the hose, it goes. So he's not running here and there. So objective operation management is another thing. So so what did we learn? We learned manufacturing strategies depend on 4 things: time horizon, short, intermediate, long term; focus, there are 4 elements again. You have to evaluate your strategies. So there must be a way of evaluating. That means, Professor A will talk about, we call it metrics. Okay, how do take an example? Suppose you are studying all the books and everything, and in your final grade you got say 10 out of 100. So what you are studying is good, but not good for that particular course and your grade. So that's called evaluation. That means whatever in the eye of the examiner, you are not doing good. So that's why you have to sometimes step back and say, am I really doing what my teacher wants me to learn? So that is the and it has to be consistent. And in one of the Indian things I have seen, the guy is a quality manager. So as soon as he walks in the Tata quality, he immediately talks about statistical quality, this and that. And he knows all range, this, that, everything. And if you see his house, oh my God, you can't move a step without hitting 4 things. So he is not consistent. And you will look in your dorms, some kids, how they qualify and how they quality, and look at yours. You have to be consistent. If you are a quality manager, you have to be qualified in every step of your life. Otherwise, you are not consistent. You are living 2 different lives. Okay, so that's one thing. Why some countries excel in some industries, this is what you think about. So if you want to say factor condition, demand condition, then firm strategy, so those are the things depend on the basic nature of the people that working on. Okay, so now this is the bottom line. This page I put together. All these things that I have told is fine, but each firm has to develop its own suitable, effective manufacturing strategy. It's very, very difficult to borrow something and 100% deploy it in your settings. And so you have to develop your own suitable thing. Give an example. Suppose you want to open a steel firm or a casting firm. Your strategy cannot be same if you have that in Calcutta, Howrah, where there has 100 years of casting background. If you want to open it in some Medinipur or whatever, the strategy cannot be same. So you have to suitable, effective manufacture, continue to work on it to improve towards profitability and competitive advantage. The second paragraph is even more important. There is no technological silver bullet. That's what you're going to learn in 2 weeks. Is you're going to get a shot by many, I would say strategic elements putting in your brain. And then you have to take up some of them, let go some of them, and you have to put together your own strategy, and which is suitable for your own business. Just because automobile industry has effectively employed a Kanban system, if you are making 5 product per year, Kanban will not work. So just because you have a Kanban, and you want to show somebody that I use Kanban for what? In Japan, actually, this whole Kanban system, one day you will see it came out that way. There nobody sat down and said, okay, I'm going to develop a Kanban system. It's not that way. It has been blown out of proportion by American consultants to make money. They have given different flavors, different, lot of things have come out of it. But the idea of their original thing is a push or pull system. That was the idea. That you take minimum work in process inventory, so when you need it, we'll supply it. So instead of push, you pull it. When you need it, you take it. So they used to have a little card and the thing. And if I have seen Mazda plant where Ford had a thing, I've spent many years there. And if you look at them, they don't follow Kanban system. They say we don't believe in it. It was especially Toyota. So in order to compete, we have our own system. They have a board on the thing and they write it down. So whatever. The point is there is no technological silver bullet in this. And so to save all industries for all time when global competition intensifies. So my punchline is you have to develop your own strategy, but you have to know the history, you have to know where you are going, apply those Skinner models and business situation, and then you improve over time. Now these are the references, and for every one of my lectures this will be the format. I will give you where I have read over time. It is not going to happen in book, and I have given you those things, and you can read if you are interested and go from there. So I think I am taken 5 minutes. There is a reason behind it, and I want to, because tomorrow operation strategy 2 I don't have much time, a little more. So I'm going to create the base, but I'm going to take 5, 6 or 10 minutes to see if you have a question. There must be some question. If you don't have a question, then either I have not told you anything or you didn't understand anything. So there are two things, and you have to interact. That's the only I know your mind. If you don't ask a question, then either I am not clear or you are not clear.
I have one question.
Yeah.
You have mentioned cost as an important parameter in the evaluation of strategy. Now, think of this digital age, in this new economy. Cost of producing the first unit is appreciable, while the cost of reproduction or the marginal cost of producing the second
When the reliability goes up, this part of it is cost of producing also goes up, right? If you want to make a reliable product, you have to have a SQC. You have to make materials much durable. You have to put together in assembly process. Your WIP has to be less, all that. Worry about this. You only are here to there. That's the part of the Duran and all that. They will cover afterwards. So the quality, higher quality doesn't mean higher cost. Actually, it is the other way. That's how the Toyota is surviving. That's the Toyota. When Toyota came into the market, Americans were having problem with their products, because America thought anything, any junk we make, people will buy it. But the point is that they came up with a quality product which never breaks down. So people thought it is much easier to buy that because I don't have after service cost. You see my point? So think in that term. Think in that term, that good quality will bring down the cost.
Sir, over the years, I have noted another difference, that one of the reasons why these Japanese firms succeeded, because most of the strategic goals they formulated based on the capabilities that they developed.
Yes.
They first develop the capabilities and the resources, then they find out the ways and means, and then they get the goal.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the other way around for the American industry. They have the strategy goals first, then they set their ways and means.
Exactly. To explain his point, what he's telling. You see what he's telling? You better get involved with this. This is what you need. This kind of the Japanese, American industry, when they built their strategy, they said, I have mentioned it, that for every machine or every process, a setup time is given. Okay? So for lathe, setting it up is about 12 minutes, time motion study, 12 minutes. Okay. So every time is 12 minutes, every 12 minutes. So every time a job is changed, and about 7 to 10 years back, Ford had to shut down their complete plant for almost 1.5 weeks to set their dies, change this, that, and we had to all go for vacation. Okay, it's given. Everybody knows. June 15 to June 23rd. That's it. Everything. They work 24 hours. This. Japanese looked at the other way. He said, you know what? If they have a given set of time, because it's loss of money, right? That everybody, they said, no. We are going to reduce our that. Don't think it as a constraint. think as an opportunity to improve our bottom line. So they said, we're going to come up with something called SMED. Uh, so they came up with a single minute. One die change will cost 1 minute. You didn't have to take a 10 days time off. So see how they turned around. So that's what Professor Ghosh was telling, that the point is that it is good that you bring somebody technology. I was talking to a person in the airplane. He brings from Japan and US the the instruments. He sells for instruments. So I asked them, so in last 12 years they are doing this, how many design changes you have done to improve? He says, we have no design changes. They have IITs, they have IIT students in their director level and marketing and sales, but they don't have any R&D, no improvement, nothing has been done. They buy and sell. Now you tell me, if that American industry, that particular company decides not to sell to you from tomorrow, what will happen to you? You're gone. So, any other question or done? Okay. Again, I'm in N216. Anytime you can come in. Hope it was useful for you.
Okay, very good afternoon to all of you. I think the last two sessions you enjoyed very much because both the speakers have highlighted the real issues related to production and operations management. And as you will be learning more aspects of operations and productions management, so you will feel yourself to be enriched with the knowledge. And by this time you have understood that how important the production and operation management is, irrespective of any type of organization. Now, at this point in time, I will be discussing a very important topic, and that topic is productivity and performance management. So before I elaborate, I presume that all of you might have heard this term, productivity, right, in one context or another. So all of you have heard this term, productivity. All of you heard this term called performance. Okay, performance of a machine, productivity of a human being. Okay, so all these terms and terminologies you are aware of. Have you gone through any textbooks on productivity management or performance management? Has anybody gone through any textbook? Because why am I referring to textbook? Because the textbook is basic source of knowledge, textbook. And I presume that you know the definition of a textbook. Just you find out. You have with you the Webster dictionary. Okay, so just today you find out what is the definition of a textbook. There are many kinds of definitions, so you must be aware of what are the features in a book. And those books are referred to as the textbooks. Now, there are many textbooks on productivity, performance management. So towards the end, I will tell you what are those textbooks. Now, productivity, is a very controversial topic. Usually, there are historical reasons for this one. That productivity is, as soon as you uttered this word, productivity, it is equated with labor productivity. There are historical reasons for this one. Just make a note. Okay. And in many contexts, the productivity is a very dirty term. Okay. And in certain other contexts, the productivity is not at all discussed. Like, say, suppose if you are holding a position of a managing director of a company, okay, or say executive director. So usually, for those positions, we never refer to productivity of, say, managing directors or executive directors. What is the reason? What is the reason? Productivity of a physician or performance of a physician. Is it, have you heard this term, performance of a physician? No? Why not? Definitely you might have heard. Because the doctors are always on toes and their performance is always, judged by, is inbuilt. Getting my point? So there are certain features. That means there are jobs, there are positions indicative of performance related, the features and dimensions. Okay. And as you might have, understood by this time, that the performance is or the productivity is a very complex subject. 100 ways you can explain it. Is it okay? So now today the time is very short. The next 1 hour and a half, I will be trying to cover, the productivity performance measurement basic concepts and the basics of productivity management, performance management, elements and criteria, and certain evaluation tools and techniques, including productivity improvement tools and techniques. Okay, one by one we will take it up, and which context, which tool you should prefer, that you must know. And in a given situation, how do you assess a feasibility of a particular productivity improvement tool that you must know? Is it okay? There you may be aware of many kinds of tools and techniques, but in a given situation, you have to be very, very selective. So how do you select? Okay. So these details we will discuss today, and possibly the tomorrow we have another session on productivity and performance management. The development of productivity management stages and strategies. This we will take it up. And the areas of research, because I presume many of you are students, many of you are research scholars. Okay, so for measuring white collar productivity. So in course of time you will come to know, like suppose you want to measure the performance of a legal system, performance of a hospital, performance of say the banking, insurance companies, many kinds of service functions, like say performance of your maintenance function. Okay, so performance of say process planning and control. These are functions basically. So how do you measure their performance on a continuous basis? So there are many areas of research, and research methodologies for the system analyst. Okay, so this I have planned. So today and tomorrow I will be covering these few topics. Now, definitions of productivity. Let's start from the scratch, absolutely from the basics. Productivity usually for many years is referred to as a ratio output by input, but then I have put note of interrogation. Why? Can you guess? Output by input. You might have heard the term like say efficiency, thermal efficiency. Okay. So this may be referred to as efficiency also. Many a time it happens like this, output by input. But then again I have put note of interrogation. Why? Because in many cases you will find that output measurement is not an easy task. Similarly the inputs. Is it okay? You cannot, it's very difficult to put on a boundary. It's getting my point. And in almost all cases you will find, whether it's the manufacturing systems or the service systems. Now there could be one part in output or one part in inputs, any kinds of inputs. This one part may be tangible and the second part could be intangible. You know what is tangible? Means measurable. There's the intangible part. Getting my point. So in many cases we face problems in measuring the outputs. Is it okay? For instance, like say, can you measure the outputs of a hospital system? Can you measure the outputs of an educational system? Yes, you can, but then you cannot be 100% satisfied. Something will be missed. Is it okay? So that's why you go through many kinds of the propositions, or you can say many kinds of the approaches already given in the research textbooks, that how to measure output is a very key question, and it's not that easy. Is it okay? Similarly the inputs. Consideration of effectiveness and efficiency. What is effectiveness? What is effectiveness? Suppose a child asks you this question, what will be the answer to make him understand? What is effectiveness? What is effectiveness? Effectiveness is basically refers to the results you get. It's clear. And what is efficiency? Efficiency means how quickly, is it okay, you try to achieve something. Is it okay? Like sometimes we say the operation is successful, but the patient is dead. Is it okay? There are the surgeons say every day, so they carry out operations of on say 20 people, 30 people, like that. They are very busy, in fact. Okay, so get the statistics. But how many patients are surviving? Is it okay? So there are many cases, unfortunate incident. He assumes that the operation is successful, but then after a few hours the patient is dead. So what do you say? The result is a big zero. It's clear. You work hard for the exam. Is it okay? If you pass the exam, okay, you got the grade, that means you got some result. But if you fail, that means result is a big zero. Effectiveness is big zero. So both effectiveness as well as efficiency, both you have to consider simultaneously. Getting my point? It's just you just bothering about the efficiency. That means you running the machines, you produce per hour 100 units, but you don't bother about its quality, its functional value of the output. You don't bother. Then you say that okay, it may be efficient, but I cannot make any conclusions regarding its effectiveness. It's clear. So efficiency and effectiveness both are to be considered simultaneously in any exercise on productivity. Now, how many productivity, how many different types of productivity measures you come across? There are many. Like, and these many types of productivity measures are grouped under two categories. The first one is the partial, and the second one is the total. Partial means, like say, how many different types of inputs you use in a production system. How are they classified? Like 5 types of inputs: man, machine, 5 M's: man, machine, with no gender bias. Man means human being. Man, machine, money, material, and the last one, it's in superlative terms, that's the management, we say. Is it okay? So sometimes we bring in capital term, right? So we say, okay, I'll measure productivity with respect to just one kind of input. Is it okay? Because in order to produce the output, you need materials, you need money, you need capital, you need humans. Is it okay? So if I concentrate only just one type of inputs with respect to the total output in a given time period, what is missing over here, output by input, but suppose you are not bothering about the time period, then obviously you cannot measure productivity. And when I say time period, that means two types of the time we are bothering about: instant of time and the period of time. Instant of time, like when you get the balance sheet, it's an instant of time, as on 31st of March. But if you get the profit and loss statement, that means for the whole year or for a quarter. So there is a period of time. So usually when you measure, instant of time measurement is not possible for productivity. Is it okay? So whenever you try to measure productivity, that means for a time period, say for an hour, or say 1 week, 1 quarter, 1 month, whole year, depending on the units of analysis you choose. Okay. So and if someone doesn't mention about the time, it doesn't have any meaning. It's clear. Like I say that in another context, suppose I say the government of India will invest some 500 crores on a particular project, but then the time period is not mentioned. Whether these 500 crores of rupees will be invested in say 1 year or 50 years, implication is totally different. Is it clear? So now, so that is the partial productivity. That means it could be human productivity, like labor productivity we say, right? Or say materials productivity, capital productivity, okay, and management productivity. So these are all partial. What is total? Sometimes this is referred to as the total factor productivity. Don't get confused. Many authors use many types of terms and terminology, the concept remaining same. Clear? So the total productivity means, that means all types of the inputs I will consider which are relevant in a given time period, and I must have a common unit of measure. Is it okay? Like human beings are added weight, all these input resources are to be added. So what is the common unit of measurement? There is the money part. So as soon as you try to measure the total factor productivity or total productivity, so all the input resources are to be measured, and usually in monetary terms. Getting my point? Otherwise, the the time period is to be mentioned, and so the equivalent monetary terms you must bring in. So when you consider all the relevant input resources and you relate it to the output, you get the total productivity. Concept of productivity index, what is it? Productivity index. You come across this term. Normally what happens that there should be a trend analysis. You select a particular measure, you collect data, okay, and you start measuring it. Suppose every quarter you feel that you need to measure the productivity. Is it okay? So every quarter you start measuring. So either there could be an increasing trend or there could be decreasing trend. Is it okay? Now what do you do? Just to make a note that there is no absolutely absolute in this world. It is always relative. So we say, okay, it's like a consumer price index. That means there must be some reference time period. Okay, that is assumed to be 100. Is it okay? And with respect to that reference time period, you start calculating the productivity of other time periods. Is it okay? So if suppose the reference point is say year 2000 or year 2015, is it okay, or 2010? So that reference 2010 assumed to be 100. Now the next year 2011, if you find it is 80, is it okay? Then you say it is a productivity index. That means 20% down. Is it okay? Next year 2012, you find 125. That means 25% up. Is it okay? So that means we are speaking relatively. Is it okay? So this what is important is that you have been using various kinds of resources, and the resources are always scarce. So with respect to a particular resource, always we prefer to measure productivity. Is it okay? And trend analysis is a must. Clear? So first you try to measure the productivity, and then they go for trend analysis. And whenever you go for trend analysis, we bring in the concept of productivity index to make it more simple. Getting my point? So that your interpretation, everybody's interpretation must be same. Productivity is a part of total performance. Now we are heading towards a very complex situation. Is it okay? We said total performance, and productivity is just one dimension of the total performance. Usually, this productivity term was born in a manufacturing system. Is it okay? To some extent in the agricultural system also, productivity term we use, but the most popular term is yield, okay, in agriculture sector. Whereas in manufacturing sector, the productivity term is well known. But the productivity term is not known at all in many service organizations. Getting my point? So there we refer to another term that is called performance. And as you know that the I will discuss those aspects in the service quality characteristics, the service functions and all those. You can manufacturing system is compared to the service system is not that complex. Getting my point? Means there is few intangible parts, whereas the service functions, the majority of the parts are intangible in nature. So there could be 100 types of interpretations. Getting my point? There are 100 patients. Each patient has his own perception, own assessment of the same hospital. Getting my point? This is unavoidable. So obviously, when you talk about perception, is it okay? I say that this hospital is poor, or someone says the same hospital is very good. one doctor is referred to as a very good doctor, the same doctor is referred to as a very bad doctor. My point. Is it okay? So, so obviously, there are many issues you need to consider. So we say that for the service function, service organizations, the concept of productivity is not relevant. The concept of performance is more relevant. Okay. So very soon you will come to know why I am saying so. Now, organizational performance, it has got 7 dimensions. Okay. That means in 7 different ways it can be explained. Is it okay so far? Okay. So what are those 7 dimensions? First one is the productivity. Productivity means basically the physical productivity, means output measurable divided by inputs measurable. Is it okay? So that's called physical productivity, right? Now, beyond measurable, there are many intangibles. Getting my point? So the second one we must be bothering about, that is the efficiency. Third one, definitely, that is effectiveness. Separately, you have to do that. Then quality. Quality of the product, quality of the services. Next one is the quality of work life. Now, in which context you might have heard this term, quality of work life? In which context this is used? Quality of work life. For whom this QWL concept is relevant? For whom? For the humans. Humans. In today's context, many a time now we certain derogatory term we never use, like the labor, okay, or like say the vendor. They are considered to be very derogatory terms. Getting my point? We are all humans, okay, and that sort of system. When you talk about Toyota production system, there are 4 main objectives. The last objective, it says very clearly that whatever may be your position, is it okay? All the positions are relevant. Okay, you have created the positions, you have hired them, they have not gate crashed to you, and whatever may be his position, everyone must be treated as a human being, and you create the job in such a way that human dignity is maintained, and you create the job in such a way that whatever the inner potential you have, is it okay? You get an opportunity to use that potential. So ultimately, if you ultimately when you propose this concept, what you try to do? You try to make a system which becomes human. HUMANE. Is it okay? Human. So in order to create the system human, what you need to do? You have to create the work environment. Getting my point? And that work environment you have to create in such a way that the quality of work life of the persons are maintained. Is it okay? There are reasons for this one. Historically, what you used to find, if you go through the history of the factory systems, you might have gone through, Uncle Tom's Cabin and all those, the great novels. In fact, you must be aware of what was the slavery systems and all those. Just 100 years back, what was the factory systems? Okay, how we used to treat, the workforce. This is okay. These are there. Everybody knows about it. In fact, so now there had been a movement for a long time that how to improve the work life of the factory people. Is it okay? So in totality. So gone are those days when you join a company. No, we used to have when you join a company as a healthy human being. When you are leaving the company, after 10 years, after 15 years, after 2 years, you leave the company as an unhealthy human being. Now the question is, who is responsible? To what extent the factory system is responsible? You may be also responsible. Getting my point? You have a work life, you have also a personal life. But then, we have to assess that to what extent the factory is responsible to make him, in making him an unhealthy human being. Is it clear? So whenever you have this sort of awareness, right, so you are bothering about the quality of work life. It's clear. he can't say all the time that as he's having his own lifestyle, that's why he has become unhealthy. Is it okay? So this is an extra pressure on the management at the strategic level even. Okay, so you cannot avoid quality of work life. There are hundreds of situations. The company is making big profit. The profitability is very high, one of the dimensions of performance. But when you visit the workplace, you'll find everyone has got a very sickly appearance and all. So this is not acceptable. Getting my point? Maybe 50 years back, maybe 100 years back, this is acceptable. Even when I visit our the jute industries, the jute factories. How many of you have visited the jute factories? No one? I suggest that you must visit the jute industry. How many of you have visited the underground mines? Yes. Okay. So I know what is your impression. They are also human lives. So can you think of improving the quality of work life for the underground miners? That's the challenge. It's not that easy. What is the solution? Okay, so it's a very complex issue, but whenever you talk about organizational performance, the core issue many a time is the quality of work life. What is innovation? So whenever you talk about productivity management or the performance management, so our goal is performance improvement. Otherwise, there is no point in discussing, no point in measuring. So measuring for what? For evaluation. Evaluation for what? Planning of resources, how to improve. And why do you go for planning? You go for improvement. Is it okay? So it's one step. It's a never-ending cycle. Is it okay? So that's why, in many cases when you talk about, very soon you will come to know what are the tools and techniques available. And these tools and techniques, someone has, proposed. Okay. And obviously, that person must be a very innovative person, creativity and all this. So we are indebted to them, and many various tools, techniques which we found today, which are in application in different types of organizations. Is it okay? Those are basically the brainchild of all these great persons. Getting my point? So the innovation, without innovation, okay, you cannot explain the various aspects of performance and of course the profitability. Now when I say profitability, I will just ask one question to you. Any organization, profit making organizations we are talking about, say manufacturing or service. I am not talking about not for profit organization. Okay, their purpose is different, right? So whenever you talk about organization, any organization has two important goals. What are these two important goals?
Profit and satisfied customers.
One is profitability. You say profitability. Never say profit. There is a difference between profitability and profit. Okay. What is the second one?
Satisfied customers.
Sustain and sustainability. Creation of value or
The hard data I want. These are the concepts, in fact. These are the means. But then ultimately you want some result. One is profitability. Okay. There are many measures of profitability. You are aware of financial ratios and all those. The second one is most important.
Shareholder wealth and also.
Second one is market share. Is it okay? If you look at the product life cycle, are you aware of concept of product life cycle? Initially, during the growth phase, after introduction, you have the growth phase. During the growth phase, maybe you are capturing the entire market, 80%, 90%, but then you reach the saturation. Is it okay? You can't be a single player all the time. So others will join in. Is it okay? So ultimately, your market share could be 40%. You're still the leader, but can you hold it for the next 20 years, 30 years and all those? Right? So the market share is main. Simply profitability, but you bothering about, but you don't bother about profitability. Now the question is, so that is the the goal of the organizations. Now what you have a manufacturing system. Now down the line, now you are working at the shop floor, right? So you don't bother about the profitability, you don't bother about the market share. It's clear. So at your level, suppose you are the manager for the manufacturing setup, what is your goal? There are 3 goals, specific goals you must have. Otherwise, you cannot have consistently the market share or consistently profitability. So what are these 3 goals you have? First one is maximize quality. Okay, you have to do that. Is it okay? What is the second one? Minimize cost. What is the third one? Already professor has told you. The third one is the minimum lead time. Okay, so or the throughput time and all those. So this is the relationships. Now the question is, so this profitability or the quality of work life, productivity, efficiency, effectiveness, these are all related to the the way you carry out all sorts of operations or activities. Getting my point? So ultimately, at the ground level, at the shop floor level, okay, you have to design the job. Means the job design, the task design would be such that it promotes innovation, it promotes quality, it promotes quality of work life. So one important aspect we are always bothering about, that is the job design. It's clear? So now you can elaborate on this. What do you mean by job design? How do you get the different aspects of the job design? Okay. So whenever you use the term productivity, it basically means physical productivity. Again, you repeat, so you'll never forget. When it is not possible to measure physical productivity, like most of the service organizations, okay, like can you measure the physical productivity of your managing director? Because they will tell you all these positions, so sir, we are doing mental work. How can you measure my mental work? This has been their answers for a long time. But today, even I may bring out many models, many approaches with which the work of an individual, whether he is involved in knowledge-based job or say rule-based jobs or the skill-based jobs, that can be measured. It's clear. So here when you talk about job, there are 3 kinds of jobs we are bothering about. First one is the knowledge-based jobs, knowledge. Second one is the rule-based jobs, and the third one is the skill-based. Now just I am giving you one question. Can you cite 2 examples of a job which requires 2 examples, which requires knowledge, rules, as well as the skills? All 3 are required. Here is a position, right, which requires both 3: knowledge, rule, as well as the skills. What is the skill-based jobs? The workers. Okay, I may be knowing the design of the machines, but I cannot handle the machine. The worker, he has the skill. Is it okay? He can produce the products. So that is a skill-based job. What is the rule-based jobs? When someone is working in front of the control panel, okay, someone is looking at the frequency values all the time, and he can interpret this. Or in in a typical ICU, what do you find? The patient's condition is constantly monitored. The danger levels are known, and as a doctor or as a nurse, you know how to interpret those data. So those are basically rule-based jobs. But then there are knowledge-based jobs. Like the doctor's jobs is a knowledge-based job. A teacher's job is a knowledge-based job. There are hundreds of jobs coming up. Like even the managing director jobs is basically a knowledge-based jobs. Getting my point. Now, what I am asking you to do, that means, can you cite two examples, which two examples of job or a position which requires all three types of what you can say the characteristics, the knowledge, the skills, as well as the rule. All three joined together. Can you cite one example?
Chef.
Huh?
Chef.
Shape. You need knowledge. Like Tarla Dalal's, recipe is known. Huh? Researcher only knowledge.
Driving,
Hmm? Driving, yes, driving to some extent. Yes. Huh? Surgeon. You are 100% right. Surgeon. And the other extreme is the pilot. Is it okay? Pilot. Is it okay? So he must have the skill, must have the rule base, he must be able to interpret the rules, and then the knowledge, okay, experience and all. Anyway, so now in your organizations, there are many positions available. Is it okay? So the first thing you have to do, you have to categorize them. This is the first thing you have to do. And then, if it is a skill-based jobs, you propose one type of measure for one type of productivity measures or performance measures. If it is a knowledge-based jobs, okay, that means your the performance measurement systems will be totally different. Is it okay? So whenever you come to know what are the tools, techniques, what are the approaches available for measuring performance and productivity, okay, we'll touch upon all these different kinds of jobs. Is it okay? So now, there are the many ways the authors or the researchers, they have tried to define productivity. So in one textbook, it was mentioned as that the productivity is that effectiveness, the ratio of effectiveness and efficiency. Now, effectiveness in the numerator and efficiency in the denominator. Is it okay? Now, if we believe in this particular ratio, that means it is a ratio of effectiveness versus efficiency. It means that if efficiency increases and effectiveness remains at the same level, okay. So that means these two are not dependent. In that case, you say that productivity gone down. But then it's very difficult to conceive these ideas. Someone is working very hard, but then you are saying that that you are non-productive. Your productivity is going down. Is it okay? It's difficult in many cases. Yes, there could be some cases it's possible, but when he is very acting smart, he is posing himself to be very, very active, but actually he doesn't produce anything. Such people are there always, okay, in any society, in any culture. But then again, if you believe in effectiveness with efficiency, the person is really working hard, okay, producing rejects is not his intention, okay, it is unintention. So why do you say that his productivity has come down? So what they say, that efficiency is a function of efficiency. Getting my point? That means you need to define efficiency. What are the factors affecting efficiency? You must be aware of. Is it okay? Like he spends more time on setting the machines. Okay, process settings you may be aware of. Or he spends more time on the setup. Is it okay? Then obviously, in order to improve his efficiency, you have to look into the setup aspects. Okay, what is the internal setup? What is the external setup? You must be aware of. Okay, and then how to convert the internal setup into external setup. Is it okay? That's the basic objective when you try to reduce the setup time. Okay, and without hampering the productivity of the machine. Getting my point? And similarly, effectiveness you need to define from several angles. Is it okay? And it is situation specific. It is situation specific. Okay, so they say this productivity is better, is defined as function of effectiveness divided by function of efficiency. Okay. Now this is the total, the picture, the pictorial representations. So what I have written, the criteria of performance. There are 7 criteria. Is it okay? Do you remember them? Okay. It's totality you have to look into, right? Efficiency, effectiveness, productivity, quality of work life, innovation, and profitability. These are the 5 measures. And I have written profitability as the last. Why? Because the profitability is an after effect. Getting my point? So, but many a time, then what you have to do, that means all these 7 dimensions you have to consider simultaneously, concurrently. Then what is this, the performance cycle? Sometimes this is referred to as the productivity cycle. Is it okay? Simply we bothering about the productivity measurement, so it doesn't serve any purpose. Is it okay? And exactly this has happened 50 years back, 30 years back, 20 years back. We really did injustice to the workers. Is it okay? And we say that yes, we'll measure your performance. Is it okay? But the supervisor is untouched. Okay. And the line manager is untouched. Their performance you never bother to measure. Why? What is the reason? You must find out. The researchers have investigated. They know what are the reasons. In many organizations today, you will find that only the workers are targeted, whereas the system is a capital intensive one. Suppose in a steel plant, what sort of system you find? It's clear. There is a blast furnace, and the people are working, and the people are working for the system. System is basically controlling them. You're getting my point? You can't control it. It's not at all labor intensive. It's clear. So now the basic assumption had been that it is labor intensive. I can start the machine, I can control the machine, okay. So I must control him. Is it okay? Whether you are supplying the materials on time, or whether the inventory which which is required is maintained, or suppose the kinds of the holding devices requires, or say even the tool creep, or say the tools, cutting tools are not supplied on time. Okay, so their efficiency, their performance, their productivity, you don't bother to measure. Ultimately, your target is only the labor. So obviously, this system cannot. It's not a sustainable system. So today, we have come out from this system. We say that you have to look into, if you bother about the performance of the labor, you have to bother about the performance of the supervisors, the line managers, the staff managers, executive managers, okay, everyone. You cannot be selective. That is one. And when you talk about the measurement part, I must be bothering about the evaluation, okay. And if when you go for performance evaluation, why do you evaluate? Because I need to improve, and improving productivity is not an easy task. So your planning must be proper. Planning means what? That means mobilization of resources, different kinds of resources. Okay, the technology is also one kind of resource. Getting my point? So the performance planning is a must, or the productivity planning is a must. Where is your document? Is it okay? And many a time we say that the management should be an open management. Getting my point? There's a concept. Openness must be there. So this document you must be able to explain to all the people down the line. Okay. It's not that I just prepare some improvement techniques or say some certain documents or certain systems I want to include, and I am unable to explain. Is it okay? The systems or the improved systems, okay, to the workers or to the concerned people, then obviously you cannot implement it. There will be a lot of problems, in fact. So whenever we start measuring the productivity, we must be able to evaluate. Your objective is to improve performance, and what we believe in, continuous improvement. That means even the best can be bettered. It's clear? Even best can be bettered. If you feel that okay, you have reached the top, best, the Mount Everest you already reached, is it okay? Then obviously next you reach the top, and then what do? You can come back, go down. Is it okay? It has to happen. So you must believe in the philosophy of continuous improvement, best can be bettered. If you do not believe, then you are not believing in the concept of productivity management. Okay. So, but before that, what is required? That is the awareness. Awareness. How do you prove that you have productivity awareness? Okay. You are running a machine shop, and you start measuring productivity measurement, but nobody is aware of the importance of productivity. Importance of productivity. Will you be successful? Okay. Most likely you will never be successful. Is it okay? So it is your duty, because our system is becoming very, very complex. So you have to face the workers, to face the supervisors, the line managers. You need to explain that why a measurement of productivity is a must, and why you are opting for measurement of productivity. Is it okay? That's called open approach. And if you for different systems, for different machines, for different equipments, right, different kinds of the productivity measurement systems you have to propose. It's just not just output by input. Suppose I ask you to measure the productivity of your material handling systems in a particular shop, and these are all PITs, in fact, in most of the cases. Also, suppose you have the EOTs, the cranes. I want to measure its performance. How do you do it, in fact? Is it okay? So we'll highlight all those. What are the tools, techniques available? I want to measure the performance of your maintenance. Is it okay? Also the marketing department, market research, how efficient it is, how effective it is, market research. How do you measure? Is it okay? So depending on the type of functions you select, types of activities, types of systems you are bothering about, so we propose different types of measurement systems. But the most vital thing is your awareness. Awareness about the importance of productivity. Is it okay? So there could be many types of training programs, awareness training programs you may have, and this is a must. Otherwise, there will be a lot of confusions, and the workers will not like it historically, because they have been hard hit for a long, long time. Is it okay? So it's to be made very, very clear. So awareness is a must, and then you have the control. Okay. Everywhere there is a control. It's clear. You start measuring. Okay. Then how do you affect the control? Is a must. So the control element is there. So there are 6 elements: awareness, measurement, evaluation, planning, performance, improvement, and control. It's clear. In many instances, the terms productivity and performance are used interchangeably. That is a very good situation, as a desirable situation. It's clear. Next, if you go through the literature, right, you have just 4 methods for productivity measurement and evaluation. What are those? First one is the normative productivity measurement methodology. It's called methodology. Okay. So what is a method and what is a methodology? You must know its definition. Okay, in clear terms, in explicit terms. Then the next one is multi-factor productivity measurement model. This is basically cost-based model. Third one is multi-criteria performance productivity measurement technique. Sometimes this is referred to as, we create objectives matrix and all. So the performance by objectives, or sometimes we say, okay. So MCP, PMT. Last one is the surrogate productivity measurement approaches. There are many situations, there are many systems where these three systems do not fit. Okay, so what is alternative? Alternative is, frankly speaking, truly speaking, they are not productivity measures. These are alternatives. That's why they are referred to as a surrogate productivity measurement approaches. Mostly the financial ratios. Is it okay? So that is the last options we have. Now, what is this normative productivity measurement methodology? As I have been already told you that suppose you want to measure the productivity of your material handling systems. Okay, material handling systems. So can we apply output by input? No. What do you need to do? That means you have to identify several independent measures, and there could be 100 opinions on this. So what you try to do, actually you go for a brainstorming session. Brainstorming session. Is it okay? And in the brainstorming session, the concerned people, okay, they are asked few questions on the possible productivity measures. Is it okay? So in a typical brainstorming session, so it lasts for half an hour and so. So it's basically, everyone will be asked, can you identify, say, 4 or 5 measures of productivity or performance related to your material handling systems. Your material handling systems. So everybody's opinion will be collected, and then the person who conducts the session, he is the moderator. Okay. So he will write down maybe some 20 performance measures. Is it okay? Out of, say, he gets it from, say, 10 persons, okay, involved in brainstorming. So 20 measures he selects, and then all these measures will be voted and ranked on a scale. Is it okay? That means one scale will be given, which one you feel most important, which one you will feel least important. So they will be rated. Is it okay? And then those measures will be ranked. It's clear. So the measures which are ranked very high, is it okay? So related to those measures, now you start collecting data and you start measuring them. It's clear. So here the basic assumption is, that means a number of measures you suggest, and these measures may not be independent. Actually they may not be independent. Is it okay? So what we try to do, that means if you include more number of measures, in all likelihood many of these measures will be interdependent. Is it okay? You try to classify them so that the interdependency is less. It's clear. So more or less they are considered to be, suppose out of, say, 20 you have selected just 10 or say 4 or 5. So each one is considered to be very, very independent, and others, say, against one there could be 5 more. They are normally dependent on the first one. Getting my point? So this way can reduce the number of the measures, and this is called normative productivity measurement methodology. Is it okay? So we have several examples. It's very simple, because ultimately what you need to do, that means you need to implement your measurement systems with the support of the persons, okay, who are involved. It's clear. That means, these sort of measurement systems you are proposing for the persons who are involved in material handling. Getting my point? And he also must know that to what extent he is responsible for the overall performance of the material handling system. It's clear. So, with this approach, that means the positive intent you have, you try to recognize the person. Getting my point? It's not that you are on a fault finding job. Usually any exercise on productivity, it becomes a fault finding mission or fault finding job, but actually it should be fact finding. Getting my point? Like we say that the auditing we do, the quality audit or the financial audit, usually what happens that they are on the fault finding job, but actually they should be on the fact finding. So just you remember that any exercise on productivity, primarily it is a fact finding exercise. It's clear, not fault finding exercise. Now what is this multi-factor productivity measurement model? This is most common in fact, right? Now whenever you talk about measuring the total productivity of a plant or a workshop or a particular machine shops or a foundry, so we say that I must be able to measure for the given time period the output. Is it okay? Usually in monetary units, and I select all the relevant inputs and I measure how much the input resources I have consumed. That means amount you consumed and the results you obtained. Is it okay? This ratio. So this is important, that multi-factor productivity measurement model. Mostly the manufacturing organizations, you prefer this particular measurement methodology. Now whenever you talk about measurement systems, three things we talk about. The first one is you measure and you go for trend analysis. This is first part. The second part is, out of the many factors responsible for the productivity, which one is most critical, that analysis also you have to do. Getting my point? That means suppose you have 4 types of inputs and you are finding that your total productivity has an increasing trend. Now if you must analyze that out of this the different input resources which you use, which one actually contributing most significantly to the improvement on productivity or increasing trend of the productivity over the time period. Is it okay? So this this sort of analysis you have to do. It's a part of the measurement systems. And the third one is most important, that is what if simulation. What if simulation? Which one sometimes is referred to as a sensitivity analysis. So sensitivity analysis also you have to do. Okay, that means basically your total productivity is dependent on say capital, or the equipment productivity, or it is basically dependent on materials. So this sort of analysis you have to do in all such cases. Is it okay? Simply you just start measuring it and then the exercise is over, then the whole purpose gets defeated. Multi-criteria performance productivity measurement technique. It also has become very, very popular. It's also referred to as the productivity by objectives. The textbooks available on this one. And this particular the technique you use for measuring productivity of service functions. Is it okay? So what you try to do? First you select different criteria. Against each criteria you select different measures. Is it okay? And then what you do, you assume initially an additive model, right? And then you can have different values, and those values are properly ranked on a scale, and the scale values you add. It's clear? And then you normalize it. Is it okay? In a scale of 0 to 100. So this methodology you apply, but again here what is important is expert views is a must. It's clear? That means if suppose it's just an individual approach, so it's basically a group approach. Is it okay? Like in the first case. And the last one, surrogate productivity measurement approaches, this always is referred to. That means we use this one when all three at the initial stage. Suppose you have just your plant is a new one. Okay, so you say that I don't have this data. So what do? You make a compromise. You say, okay, I will try to measure the performance of my system with the help of some financial ratios initially. Are you getting my point? So these are referred to, those are basically not productivity measurement, but this is surrogate productivity measurement approaches. Okay. Now, as I have already told you that when you believe in the concept of productivity cycle, ultimate objective is productivity improvement or performance improvement. Now, over the years, okay, many practitioners, many researchers, they have proposed many kinds of tools and techniques for productivity improvement, performance improvement. Is it okay? And you believe just in one concept that whenever you talk about productivity or performance, anything you do, anything, any exercise you carry out, either it is directly or indirectly related to productivity or performance. It's clear. In some cases, what you do, like say when the training programs on productivity we initiate, it's clear. So any training program on any subject you talk about, it's directly or indirectly related to productivity or performance. So that is the advantage when you deal with productivity. That means when you select all these tools and techniques, any tool you name, okay, I can prove that it is related to productivity or performance. But this is an advantage, definitely. But then you also must be very, very careful that which tool in which situation you need to use. Okay, clear. Otherwise, you are using the tool, but you are using it for and purpose is not served. Is it okay? In many cases, it happens. That means once I know the tool and I try to explain the problem with respect to the tool's requirements. Okay, it's wrong. So what is important is that you need to explain the problem. Okay, and then when you can explain the problem in explicit terms, and then only you can identify that which tool you need to use. It's not the other way around. In many cases, it happens these days, and obviously, what happens? The effectiveness is a big zero. Is it okay? This is happening. Now, what I have done, in fact, like all these improvement tools and techniques, I have classified into 7 categories. And just I'll tell you my the PhD research area had been on productivity management. Okay, and there's some 25 years back. So those days, we proposed few, improvement tools and techniques, the methodologies for measuring service functions productivity as well as the white collar productivity. Okay, so those are the challenging assignments those days. So when I go through the literature, I find that these productivity improvement tools or techniques can be classified under 7 categories. First one is the technology based. I presume you know the definition of technology. Webster dictionary you referred to. I've been using the term. I presume that you know the definition of engineering. You know it? Webster dictionary, not your definition. It's a generic term. Have you ever seen what is the definition of engineering? So today you must check Webster's 7 language annotated dictionary. You check. You must do that, in fact. What is the definition of, I always suggest to my researchers, okay, many a time, there are many terms and terminologies come across. And as a researcher, you must use all the generic terms. Is it okay? Whatever the term you use, this is the definition. Okay, you are not supposed to, if you are a genius, okay, but then you coin this term and you say, yes, this is the definition, and everybody accepts it. It's clear. And if everybody accepts it, that means it finds a place in the dictionary. It's clear. So, definitely the technology's definition, two terms we use in technology. One is hard technology and is soft technology. It's clear. And here, when you talk about technology, what do you say? That is the hardware part as well as software part. And the technology is acceptable to you when in today's context, hardware and the software, they're compatible with each other. That means the total systems we are talking about. It's clear. Now, there is a term also we use that is called pure technology. You heard this term? Can you try to improve the productivity, okay, of your system by employing pure technology, pure within quote? What is the pure technology? Is it an era of pure technology? No, definitely not. When there is a horsepower, then there is a steam power. Okay, so what do you expect? That those days, the factory systems productivity increased manifold. Is it okay? So that's the era of pure technology. Today what has happened, that even the machine is extremely good, state of the art, CNC or DNC mode you're operating. The person concerned is also highly efficient, superb, his knowledge and all those. Now, today the main problem is, what do you say? That the machine technology is very good. The person is highly motivated, intrinsically motivated. But today our main problem is that even if you change the technology, there is no guarantee that the performance will improve. There are many instances, the company has opted for, changing its tools, technology, everything. Is it okay? Overnight. But there is hardly any improvement in productivity. It's clear. Why? Because in today's context, the main important aspect is, that is the interface design. That means you never know, the person is otherwise very good, the machine is excellent. When you put the person on the machine, what will happen? Nobody can predict. And that's the problem with the present era. Is it clear? So everywhere, in order to improve, the productivity, you need to bother about the interface design. And that is the most challenging task, most difficult. Interface design, or sometimes this is called interference design. Okay? So, this technology based, when you talk about, that means simple, employing technology will not solve your problem in 100% of the cases in today's context. So, along with the technology, you must build in the appropriate interface. Is it okay? Second one is employee based, is the traditional one, many such tools and techniques. Third one is the product based. Okay, there are tools and techniques. Fourth one is the task or job based, is most important in fact. Is it okay? Fifth one is the material based. Sixth one is the quality based. And the last one is the cross-functional interdisciplinary. Okay. So this is 7 types. Against each one, we have this elaboration. What is that? Under technology based, CIM. How many of you are aware of CIM, Computer Integrated Manufacturing? So there are many, framework they have proposed. CIM framework. Is it okay? Are you aware of CIM framework? Okay, so CIM is a framework and it's a total system. So under this you have CAD, computer aided design, and computer aided engineering. Okay. Then what is CAPP? Computer aided process planning. And this is computer aided manufacturing. Is it okay? CAM. So the CAPP is basically the link. Getting my point? In many instances, CAPP is basically referred to as the technology. Like in India, suppose you go to HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Unless and until you know the process plan, you don't know anything. Getting my point? That means what you are trying to do, that means you have your design, that means the blueprint or the drawing, and the drawing is converted into a product. Okay. So the direct conversion is not possible. You need a very vital document. It's called process plan. Getting my point? And if you can write down, if you can know the process plan, you know everything. Like this is your, the ball pen, the ball you have. Now I'll give a task to you, right? First you try to find out its drawing. It's clear. When the drawing means its dimensions as well as the material specifications. It's clear. First you find out, and then you tell me that which process plan you need to use. And the process plan means I must write down what are the sequence of operations. For each operation, what sort of machine I use. Against each machine, what sort of the jigs fixtures I need to use. What sort of measurement measurement systems I use. Okay, and then production related data like the setups and all those. It's clear. So all these details you have to write down. Now, how many such products we are in a position to write down the process plan? So what do you say that the process plan is basic technology? If the process plan is known, right, everything is known, you can reproduce it. Then there is another concept we say that why don't you bring the technology? Now this is also a very controversial subject, I'm telling you, for improving the productivity. They say, are we getting the technology or are we getting few techniques? Is it okay? If you say that I have adopted the technology, that means that you are in a position to write down the process plan on your own. It's clear. So this aspect need to be studied, and whenever you talk about FMS is just one kind of what? The CIM. CIM is basically the set, FMS is a subset. How do you define FMS? Is a mid volume, is an automated, 100% automated, exact definition is this, 100% automated, mid volume, mid variety, central computer controlled manufacturing system. It's clear. So it has got physical subsystems, it has got the control subsystems, hardware, software, compatibility. So all these details are known, and this is actually the focal point of CIM. It's clear. And it is normally the repetitive manufacturing. You have a repetitive manufacturing, so if you can opt for FMS. Okay. So now if it is a continuous processing, highly instrumented continuous processing, like a chemical plant. Okay. Now obviously, do you use CAD? CAD is used. You have to find out. In many cases, I am telling you that suppose you are dealing with a process plant, and you suggest CAD as an improved productivity improvement techniques. Is it feasible? Or suppose I have a job shop, hundreds of varieties I produce. Okay, the batch size is very, very less. So my main focus is I have the ability to produce many types of products. That's basically I display my ability. Job shop. Okay, I can design it separately. Do I use CAD? Yes or no? Am I using CAPP, computer aided process planning, or computer aided manufacturing? Can I use FMS? So that you have to be very, very particular. So under what situation, which technology is to be used, that must be known. This is a very good exercise, in fact. Okay. What is a transfer line? You might have seen the movie, Charlie Chaplin's movie, The Modern Times. How many of you have seen Modern Times? No one? You have seen Modern Times? The assembly line workers attitudes is a satire, but it has highlighted a very important, and then the important issues related to productivity. The management wants to improve the productivity of the workers, assembly line. Okay, and what is the transfer line? Transfer line is defined as 100% automated assembly line. Is it okay? So if it is feasible or if it is desirable, there are 4 important aspects you must be aware of before you select a particular tool for improvement. The first one is the desirability. It is to be defined very clearly, in fact. The second one is what? The feasibility. Is it okay? That means with the existing level of resources, whether really you can opt for it or not. That's called feasibility. Third one is the importance, and the fourth one is the critical one. Usually you prefer, you must know its criticality. That means suppose, you cannot implement FMS, the whole thing will collapse. Okay. So first you have to think of, okay, what will be its impact? Suppose I do not go for, you have to, at a strategic level, as a decision maker, you have to look into these aspects. Suppose the people are asking for the incentive schemes and I do not adopt incentive scheme. What is its impact? This is very critical. It may so happen that at this point in time, it has become very, very critical. And unless and until you opt for incentives, some sort of incentive schemes, that means you cannot run the system. Is it okay? So first, means you will have a back to the wall situation. Okay. So those are basically the critical issues. Okay. So you have to identify them out of many techniques. Which one is most critical? Material handling systems, AGVs, conveyors, PITs, okay, power industrial truck. Is it okay? PIT stands for that, etc. Energy conservation. What sort of technology you have? It's a very critical issue these days. And remanufacturing. Okay. What do you mean by remanufacturing? So there are a lot of effort we put in today. Okay. So whether something has gone wrong, but the telco used to have that machine reconditioning plant and all those. Is it okay? So there's one kind of remanufacturing before you throw away, because almost all these machines are essentially imported, very expensive, so it's get damaged. So to what extent you can remodel it? It's possible, even for the product place. So remanufacturing has become a very well-known technique. Wherever feasible, you opt for it one. Okay. So these are the technology-based one. Employee-based, financial incentives, individual group. Now, in today's context, whether can it be considered to be a productivity improvement tool? Choice is yours. Because when you used to design the incentive scheme, we used to say that no incentive is better than bad incentive. And whatever the incentive scheme you propose for the workers, there are loopholes. Okay. Either today or tomorrow, okay, this will be identified by the workers, and ultimately we will find that the performance on paper is increasing, but actually the output is not increasing. Is it clear? So in today's context, this sort of incentive schemes has lost its value. It's clear. And there is a means ultimately what you try to do in order to make the system a human one. What is important is to what extent you can make your people intrinsically motivated. Motivation must come from within. Is it okay? Usually 15 to 20% of the workforce, they are intrinsically motivated. Means whatever may be the the quality of the work systems, okay, they will work all the time, no problem at all for them. Work environment is extremely poor. You'll find still 20% of the workforce, they're working very hard. They're considered to be the asset in the organization. The problem comes when you become insensitive to their demands. And if they leave your organization, that means the organization becomes really proper, and it's very difficult to improve the productivity at that point in time. It's clear. So everybody knows who are these people. At the other extreme, even if you create a very good very good work environment, you'll find again 20% of the people, okay, they will create problem for you. It's not only here, in any culture, in any society, this is the norm. Is it okay? So the remaining, say 60 to 70% of the people, we assume that if you introduce the new systems, they will try to improve themselves. Is it clear? So this is, you are aware of job rotation, job enlargement, job enrichment. It's like multifunctional operator these days. Already it is implemented. Is it okay? Small group activities, quality circles, work improvement, achievement. Is it okay? Whether the quality circle is implementable in India or not, is it okay? It is, I don't know whether it is feasible in India or not. Okay, but definitely the small group activities, there are different models available in fact. So what model, the model which suits you, okay, so that model you have to adopt. Simply, the quality circle of Japan, you cannot implement over here. Is it okay? Because you must remember another important aspect, like in Indian socio-economic conditions, how many jobs you take up, you are working on a particular job. Are you working out of compulsion or out of choice? It's most important in fact. And when you talk about the interface design, we say that your body is on the job, definitely, whether your mind is also on the job or not. So that's the challenge in today's context. And you have to treat all the persons very softly, humanly. That is also another challenge. Getting my point? When I used to work in the organizations, workers, they used to say, okay, we have different sets of languages and all those. Sometimes we used to use filthy languages and all that. They become a style. And but whether the situation has changed or not, I don't know. But that had been the practice all through. Everybody knows, in fact. So that is the typical culture. When something you are trying to pushing through. People are, what kind of factory systems you have developed. Is it okay? Given a chance, everybody will run away from the system. Is it okay? I getting my point. So it's, some 100 years back, it's like a jail. And today, you need to consider whether, that means, is it by choice or by compulsion? Is there. So this is the inherent limitation of a factory systems. You cannot avoid. Okay. So this is to be checked in, means whenever you talk about small group activities, we say that whatever may be his positions, and we say, how many of you are aware of line-centered management? Have you heard this term, line-centered management? Means this line-centered management you have to implement, okay, for improving productivity. What is that? That means we believe in one concept, that is the person who is working with the job, he or she is the best person to suggest for improvement. It's clear? I repeat, the person who is working with the job means the workers, workmen. Salute them, respect them. It's clear? And the person who is working of the job, he knows ins and outs. I don't know, right? I may be an engineer, but as far as this job is concerned, he knows ins and outs. So he is the best person to suggest for improvement, no one else. Now the question is, when he suggests, but is he empowered for making these suggestions? Maybe the language could be a barrier, but let him speak in his mother tongue, okay? But he must get a channel, communication, and his words must reach you. Is it okay? But then again, there must be 100% the trust between you and the worker. It's clear? So this is to be created first, line-centered management, and when you believe in this philosophy, it is referred to as the line-centered management. This lies at the core of any initiative you take for productivity improvement. It's clear. So we have felt that if the small group activities are formed with this objective in mind, then this will be a success. Otherwise, what happens is just half an hour they talk about, and it's just the casual talk, and nothing you get out of it. It's clear, because there is a complete mistrust between you and the worker, whatever may be the reasons. It's clear. So scientifically, you have to assess. Product-based value engineering. Value engineering is a well-known technique. It was introduced in the Second World War, and the person who proposes this concept is Miles. Okay, so the Miles textbook is there. So the value engineering essentially is a cost reduction technique, and with material substitution. Focus is material substitution. So it's a highly it's a well-known methodology. Many companies they have adopted. Concurrent engineering, this is a must wherever it is feasible. Concurrent engineering, or it's called simultaneous engineering. Usually it is a product development. So product development has got 3 phases. First one is the product design. Second one is the process design. Third one is the manufacturing in a closed loop format. Closed loop. Don't believe in the open loop format. Then you'll achieve the productivity improvement. Sometimes you just give one way the direction. That's it. You don't bother about the studying what is his impact in the long run. It's clear. So in today's context, nobody is 100% perfect. Nobody is 100% imperfect. It's clear. So there is no other way but to go for a closed loop format, right? So here in the concurrent engineering, what you try to do, that means when you start with the product design, but you start thinking about the process design aspects, you start thinking about the manufacturing. Is it okay? When you reach the process design, then you start thinking about the manufacturing, and you also start thinking about the product design. It's clear. That means whether I have proposed a drawing, whether the existing machineries are sufficient to produce that drawing, or say convert this drawing into a product or not. Manufacturing systems. Is it okay? The process plan you create, but for this process plan, you need to import or you need to outsource. Okay, certain very vital functions. What to do? That means what you try to do, if you look into all these 3 aspects concurrently, simultaneously, the product development time will be reduced in all likelihood, and that means the product development cost will come down. Is it okay? So this is concurrent engineering. Quality function deployment. Is it okay? House of quality and all those is also a Japanese technique, and like many other Japanese techniques, is very easy to understand, because they have a philosophy that I will implement one technology, one tool for everyone, and then you go to the next stage. It's clear. It's very simple, and there is no mathematics at least implement. So that's the beauty of the Japanese techniques. And whenever you go through the Japanese tools and techniques, they explicitly define what is to be done and all those. Like Professor Mukherjee was mentioning about SMED, single minute exchange of dies, or say the Toyota production systems, so TPS. So you want to know details about the TPS or the Kanban systems? All these are perfectly documented. It's clear. Whether in many Western techniques, this documentation may be missing.
Can I say, I think
Yeah.
the single most fact is we don't have culture
Yes.
to understand that process.
Forget about the Western countries.
Yeah.
Whether the TPS can you implement in our country?
Yeah.
No.
Their culture is leadership is like a military culture. Somebody says, somebody follows, somebody does it, somebody gives feedback. US doesn't have that.
Yes, yes, so that is one of the reasons. It must fit with your own culture. Is it okay? Definitely. But still, the simplicity of a technique must understand. Is it okay? The way, they propose a technique, it's for everyone. Like when they talk about, the total quality, right? So they say the 7 tools of quality. So let us first implement them. Is it okay? Normally what happens that we try to categorize certain techniques. So like suppose I say I am an expert in operation research. So I will try to implement operation research, okay, by hook or by crook. It's clear this tendency is wrong. But the system may not demand operation research techniques at this point in time. Okay. So maybe I do not know what is the Pareto chart. And Pareto chart I am unable to implement. Okay. I cannot explain to them in simple terms what is the Pareto chart. But I try to implement the operation research based optimization tools and techniques. The Japanese organizations, they have never done that, in fact. Never, in fact. They say, okay, Pareto chart, its usefulness we must understand. Let a simple worker understand what is the Pareto chart. And I must have the ability to make him understand. It's also very, very important. Like concurrent engineering or the QFD, suppose I want to implement. Is it okay? I must have the ability to implement with the support of the concerned people. It's clear? So that sort of clarity in my thinking process and the knowledge base I must have. Many a time this is missing. Getting my point. Sometimes you become specialist. That's it. But how does it matter to a soft floor personnel? Okay, so these are reasons, and QFD, but again I have told you that any technique you pick up, whether at this point in time, this is a really, it is desirable to implement that is to be checked, and then the feasibility. It's clear. A new product development has come up and the market research has also come up. Something like.
If you go to a Japanese mall, even
I've seen.
The manager, I have seen the general manager of that master plant, porterhouse is this size. It won't be bigger than that.
I'll tell you my experience in Japan.
Whether you go in the morning, afternoon, this month, that Saturday, Friday, that particular apple will be in that corner. Size, shape, weight, in that particular location, the kid knows, mother knows, father knows, everyone. So you shut off the light and you go for the apple. If you know how to get there, you're going to grab an apple.
That's it.
what I'm telling you. They breed quality. They are born in that culture.
Okay. Now my experience I'll tell you. So the professor concerned, he was explaining that okay, the concept of line-centered management. And he says that our system is that towards the end of a shift, that means suppose the 5 o'clock it closes, so the 4:30, okay, all around 4 o'clock, so you will be asked to stop working, and remaining 1 hour, you start thinking about the improvement. And they say that every day you make a small group, okay, as you wish, and you start thinking of the improvement possibilities at your workplace, definitely, in a systematic manner. And then he says it's very effective. Half an hour or 45 minutes, they really work for, they write down many, improvement ideas, and it is just ideas generations. Many ideas may not be feasible, so we assess them. That how many ideas you can immediately implement without investing anything. Normally this is also not done in our situations. Getting my point? Like someone might say that my workplace is not properly cleaned. Normally these issues are ignored. Getting my point? They say, "Arey, it's nothing. You talk about process settings, then we'll think of." So all the ideas or all the suggestions are to be taken in a good spirit. Okay, so they are written down. Now the first thing they say, the problems are highlighted. They have highlighted the problems. Now we have to categorize the problems. The problems which can be tackled immediately without any investment. Let's identify them immediately. Okay, you can engage the workers, problem will be solved. Then the next category of problems which minimum investment is required, and the third category of problems where maximum investment is required. Usually what happens in our situations, we try to highlight those problems which need maximum investment. It's clear. So they just go the reverse way. They say, okay, I will first tackle those problems which do not need any investment. It's clear. Once you do this, then the workers, more workers will come forward, and they will suggest more improvement possibilities, because now they feel that really the management is really interested. They are very positive, and there is the trust between the management and the workers. Okay, so in the next time when they sit for the achievement, this improvement, these small group activities. In the first session, maybe they have suggested some, they suggest some 20. This time, they have more trust to the management. They may suggest some 50 more. Is it okay? Improvement possibilities. Then I asked him one question, Professor, what is the guarantee? This 1 hour, okay, there is no control. That really, how do you know that this 1 hour they are spending on identifying the improvement, the options and all those suggestions? No. Have you checked that? That really they are working 1 hour, or they just at 4 o'clock they leave the workplace and go elsewhere? Okay. They say, so no, it never happens. And I say, in India, there is a law. There is a Parkinson's law. What it says? Do you know Parkinson's law? Work expands waste to time available for its completion. That means you set your target. You say, okay, you do the job in 7 hours. Now, if you get 1 hour more, okay, slowly what you will find that you take 8 hours time to complete the job. That means your actual requirement is 2 hours in many instances, many clerical staffs, but you are getting 8 hours. What you will find that work expands. That means you will find the person concerned will be doing the job in 8 hours of time. Is it okay? So I say, yeah, maybe the Parkinson's law is applicable. Then he says, Professor, that Parkinson's law is applicable, but under one condition. And what is that? It is related to the socio-economic conditions. Is it okay? When the socio-economic condition is essentially a subsistence economy, Parkinson's law holds. You know what is subsistence economy? Is it okay? That means essentially majority of the people, they are working for the money. Is it okay? The standard of living. So that's why it is applicable. But in India, Japanese conditions, okay, their socio-economic condition is such, but they are not at the subsistence economy. So this is also a very important factor, in fact. That means the quality of work life, the standard of living is closely interlinked. So if the quality of work life is not addressed properly, this small group activity, you can't expect they are productive. It cannot happen. You're getting my point? So all are interlinked, in fact. And the trust. Is it clear?
I could add that to expand that. If you think that statement, it takes months to get into that. It's not that easy. The foreman, as the foreman said, I said that you have no work waiting to leave. He says, we have cultural issues. What is that? If I go home early means half an hour after regular work. The wife thinks that I'm sick today. If I go early home, 2 days at a time, she will ask me, does your boss like you? If I do 3-4 days, that means she will tell me to find another job because I think I'm going to lose this job. Look at this, and then what we think. Our newlywed wife wants us to go have after lunch. Go. They don't want to work. Japanese guys live with them. They're completely different.
Different.
Also.
It's a martial nation, no? It's basically martial nation.
I have one question, Professor. You said that the Parkinson's law hold under subsistence level of
Economy, yes.
look at sector 5.
No, that professor has explained in that way. I still remember it. Professor Kawase.
I have
In
one
fact,
question and
yes.
I want you to ponder over this. Look at sector 5, okay, Calcutta, solving. There's all these IT hubs are there. All these people are developing programs and software and all, even for offshoring partners, right? The designer releases the spec, and unfortunately, on an average, he estimates some time for requiring completion of the program. On an average, he gives 3 days. These programmers, they complete the job because there is a learning curve associated with that. Initially, he may take 3 days, but over time, he completed in 1.5 days. The remaining 1.5 days, I have observed that these people play games on the computer. Whenever some bosses come, they just